Chapter 2. The Invisible Script. There is a common misunderstanding about what a script really is. Most people think a script is a document, a collection of pages containing dialogue, scene descriptions, or production notes. But that definition is incomplete. A document can help organize a production, but it is not the essence of a script. The real script is something much deeper. A script is the order in which the audience discovers reality. This idea is worth remembering because it forms one of the most important foundations of audiovisual storytelling. Storytelling is not simply about what happened, it is about the order in which we allow the viewer to discover what happened. Reality is not automatically a story. Imagine a simple situation. A frost arrives, the soil is protected, later the results are observed. That is reality, but it is not yet a story. The story begins when we decide how the audience will experience those events. We could start by explaining concepts, background information, and technical details before revealing the outcome. Or we could begin with a striking result, create a question in the viewer's mind, and use that curiosity to guide them toward the explanation. The information may be exactly the same. The experience will be completely different. The pleasure of discovery. The human brain enjoys discovering things. It enjoys connecting causes and effects. It enjoys solving questions and uncovering answers. That is why an explanation structured as a process of discovery is often more engaging than an explanation structured like an instruction manual. When viewers feel that they are exploring alongside the story, their level of involvement increases. They are no longer simply receiving information. They are actively creating meaning. The expert's blind spot. One of the greatest obstacles to effective communication is known as the curse of knowledge. It happens when someone knows so much about a subject that they forget what it was like not to know it. A natural tendency emerges. More details are added. More concepts are added. More background information is added. And gradually, the explanation becomes more important than the experience itself. Meanwhile, the viewer may be wondering something entirely different. Open quote, "I understand the information, but I still don't understand why I should care." Close quote. This is one of the most common mistakes experienced creators make. Having more knowledge does not automatically improve a story. Sometimes it makes storytelling harder. Teaching through curiosity. Great communicators often use a different approach. They do not teach from knowledge. They teach from curiosity. Instead of beginning with technical explanations, they begin with an observation, a question, or a situation capable of generating genuine interest. The information is still there, but it arrives at the right moment. First comes the desire to understand. Then comes the explanation. This sequence feels far more natural to the human mind. The backbone of a video. Nearly every successful video has an invisible structure supporting everything else. You can think of it as the narrative backbone, and it is usually built around a single central question. One question that serves as the axis of the entire experience. For example, how can soil be protected during winter? Is it possible to grow food under extreme conditions? What actually happens inside a compost pile? How long does a degraded ecosystem take to recover? Is a particular experiment worth the effort? The specific question may change. What matters is that there is one clear narrative direction. The entire video should revolve around it. When too many questions compete. Many retention problems appear when a video tries to answer too many questions at the same time. Each new topic competes for attention. Each detour weakens the power of the main story. The result is a feeling of fragmentation. The viewer no longer has a clear sense of where the experience is heading. That is why the best videos usually maintain a single, well-defined central question and allow every other element to support it. The tension map. Attention does not behave in a constant way. No video maintains exactly the same level of interest from beginning to end. A narrative experience resembles a series of waves. Attention rises, then falls, then rises again, then falls again. The director's job is to manage these fluctuations. To do this, small narrative tensions are introduced throughout the journey. A question, an answer, a new question, a new answer. This continuous movement keeps the feeling of progress alive. The rhythm of good storytelling. A nonstop stream of information can become exhausting. The mind needs room to anticipate, imagine, and formulate its own questions. That is why the most engaging stories alternate between revelations and expectations. Something is revealed, a new possibility appears. One question is answered, another emerges. This dynamic creates a natural sense of movement. The story advances because the audience wants to know what comes next. The three-level framework. One particularly useful tool for designing content is to think of every video as operating on three levels simultaneously. Level 1. What is happening? This is the most concrete level. It describes what the viewer can directly observe. The actions, the processes, the visible events. It is the surface layer of the story. Level 2. What we are learning. This is where the educational dimension appears. We are not only watching what happens, we are understanding why it happens. We discover relationships, principles, and insights that enrich the experience. This level adds intellectual depth to the content. Level 3. Why it matters. This is the most human level, the most emotional, the most philosophical. It answers a fundamental question. Why should anyone care about this? This is where meaning emerges. This is where the story connects with values, purpose, human experience, and broader reflections about life and the world. When the three levels work together, a video that functions only on the first level may become little more than a demonstration. A video that incorporates all three levels becomes a much richer experience. The viewer watches, the viewer learns, and the viewer understands why it matters. When these three layers are successfully integrated, the story gains depth and remains in memory long after the video has ended. 3 questions before you press record. Before beginning any audiovisual project, it is worth pausing for a moment and answering 3 fundamental questions. What is the main question? Every story needs a clear direction. What discovery will the viewer take away? Every experience should leave the audience with a new insight, understanding, lesson, or revelation. Why should they care? Every story needs meaning. It needs a reason to exist beyond the simple delivery of information. Designing experiences. Many creators think, open quote, I'm going to film something interesting, close quote. Directors tend to think differently. They think, open quote, I'm going to design an interesting experience, close quote. The difference may seem small, but it changes everything. The camera comes later. The editing comes later. Even the written script comes later. First, the experience is designed. Then every creative decision is made in service of building that experience.